The pen was seconds from signing when Ava Morales spoke. "This clause," she said softly but firmly, "it flips the liability. If you sign this, sir, your firm takes the fall." The chatter died instantly. A cold wave of silence spread across the room. 16-year-old Ava stood in the glass doorway of the 52nd floor boardroom, janitor's badge clipped to her hoodie, eyes locked on the contract that could destroy an empire. Rowan Pierce's hand froze mid-air, the silver pen hovering above the signature line. Across from him, Lila Hart Pierce, his wife, co-owner, and silent strategist, blinked in quiet alarm. Carter Knox, head of Knox Vector Partners, leaned back with an amused smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Excuse me?" he said smoothly, his Texan drawl polished to perfection. Ava didn't waver. Page 14, subparagraph C. It redefines assumed liabilities and references Schedule 7.2, but that schedule's blank. Blank means everything. You're about to sign your company into ruin. The young analysts around the table exchanged looks, nervous fingers flicking across tablets. Lila forced a polite laugh, but her knuckles whitened. "She's mistaken," she said, voice tight, but Rowan's instinct said otherwise. "Escort her out," he murmured. Security moved, and as the doors closed, Ava's eyes met his, a brief moment of truth between worlds that never should have collided. 8 hours earlier, the building slept while the cleaners moved like quiet machinery through corridors of glass and chrome. Ava worked beside her mother, emptying trash bins and wiping fingerprints from conference tables. The hum of the copier broke the silence. A folder lay on the tray, stamped in bold red. Final draft. Merger agreement. Ava's fingers hovered, curiosity tugging stronger than caution. She flipped through the pages, her sharp eyes catching a subtle shift in the language. Subparagraph C, a blank reference, a single missing line that turned protection into exposure. She had read enough business ethics textbooks to know the danger of an empty clause. Her stomach tightened. Someone had built a legal trap, and her mother's employer was about to walk straight into it. "Mom," she whispered, "you ever seen a contract that gives everything away?" Marisol didn't look up. "Ava, please." "We clean, not question." But Ava couldn't unsee it. Back in the boardroom, the decision was instant. "Escort her out," Rowan said. Security approached, but Ava stood tall. "You can ignore me," she said, "but if he signs that page, Pierce Capital goes under." The guards guided her out as executives avoided eye contact. Before the door closed, Rowan looked up, his pen still on the table. For a heartbeat, they understood each other. The powerful and the unseen, both caught off guard by truth. Morning sunlight pooled across the marble lobby. Ava and her mother sat outside the security desk, silent. A woman from HR arrived with a clipboard, lips pursed. "Mrs. Morales," she said, not meeting their eyes, "you're placed on unpaid leave pending investigation." Marisol's hands tightened around her purse. "Because my daughter spoke." The woman didn't answer. Outside, New York roared with indifference. Marisol turned to Ava, eyes glassy. "You wanted to help, I know, but bravery doesn't pay rent." Ava stared up at the tower that touched the clouds, the same building she'd tried to save. "Maybe it will someday," she whispered. That night, Rowan sat alone in his Central Park office, skyline glowing like scattered embers. The unsigned contract lay open before him. He reread the clause. Every word Ava mentioned was true. It wasn't a typo. It was surgical deceit. He opened old drafts. The changes weren't there before. The modification was approved under Lila's login. His chest tightened. His phone buzzed. Lila's name. "You didn't sign it, did you?" she asked coolly. "No." "Then don't start doubting people you trust. Carter's deal is flawless. You're letting a child rattle you." Rowan's gaze drifted to the blank schedule again. "She saw what we didn't." Brooklyn, 11:42 p.m. Ava sat cross-legged on her bed, laptop humming faintly. An email with no sender name flashed on her screen. You saw it too. EV. She hesitated, then replied. Minutes later, her phone buzzed. A low, cautious voice answered. I'm Ethan Vale, it said. I used to work for Pierce Capital. That clause, Knox used the same trick twice before. The victims never saw it coming. Why are you telling me? Ava asked. Because you saw it first, Vale said, and they'll come after you next. 2 days later, Rowan spotted Lila at a midtown lounge, laughing softly with Carter Knox. From his corner seat, he watched her hand slide a flash drive across the table. Carter's smile widened. Lila's fingers brushed his wrist. For Rowan, the sound in the room faded. Betrayal didn't always shout. It whispered through gestures and glances. Back at the office, Rowan's computer pinged. Unauthorized transfer attempt. $2.5 million. Origin, L.H. Pierce. His blood ran cold. He stared at the blinking screen, realization dawning like dawn's cruel light. He hadn't been outsmarted by competitors. He'd been undermined by his own home. At school, Ava opened her locker. A small folded note fell out. We know where you live. Her hand trembled, just for a second. Then she walked straight to the office and called Naomi Park, the attorney who'd just taken her case. They're trying to scare you, Naomi said calmly. That means they're losing control. Ava smiled faintly. Then I guess I'm doing something right. That evening, chandeliers sparkled over champagne glasses at the Pierce Foundation Gala. Lila greeted donors with her perfect smile. Rowan stepped to the microphone unexpectedly. Before we begin, he said, I owe this city honesty. Numbers don't betray you. People do. Lila's smile froze. Carter's grip on his glass tightened. The applause faltered before it began. The next day, Pierce Capital's top floor transformed into a war room. Whiteboards covered in arrows, offshore accounts, and dates. Naomi Park commanded one wall, Ethan Vale joined remotely on screen, and at the center sat Ava Morales, hands steady over her laptop. They uncovered the heart of the fraud, a shell company called Black Gull Holdings, BVI, siphoning profits from collapsed firms. Every road led back to Carter Knox and Lila Hart Pierce. When an audio file arrived that night, Rowan played it alone. Lila's voice came first. He won't question it. Not if I push at the right time. Then Carter's. And if he does, we remind him what he stands to lose. Courtroom 14C buzzed with whispers. Naomi Park stood before the jury, methodical as a surgeon. This case isn't about one contract, she said. It's about a pattern, a network that weaponized fine print to destroy competitors. Then she called Ava Morales to the stand. Ava's braid was neat, her voice steady. Just because I clean your floors doesn't mean I don't see the dirt. The gallery went silent. Reporters stopped typing. The audio recording played. Lila's voice cracked through the speakers. Carter's threats followed. Gasps rippled through the room. The verdict came swift and clear. Guilty. Weeks later, justice landed. Carter Knox and Lila Hart Pierce were sentenced to 10 years each. Pierce Capital survived, but changed. At a press conference, Rowan announced the Ava Morales Fellowship for Young Truth Seekers. Cameras flashed as Ava stood beside him, Columbia acceptance letter in hand. That night, she sat by her Brooklyn window, lights of the city glowing in the distance. A single sticky note on her mirror read, "Not backing down." Her mother smiled softly behind her. You didn't just clean their mess, Mia. You cleaned the truth.